Well, hello, friends. Hello and welcome. Welcome to yours and mine Cozy Corner. My name is Amanda, and on this channel, we talk about books, and more books. Well, hello, friends. Hello and welcome. So, this is going to be the June 2026 wrap up, and I read a total of 8 books this month. And I had a total of 2 5-star reads. So, I'm going to take that because, as I mentioned before, I don't feel like this year is like one of the best reading years for me. So, I'm taking all the wins that I can get. And not every book has to be a 5-star read in order for it to be, for me to consider it a good read, but that doesn't hurt any. So, anyway, we're going to get started with the first 5-star read, which is Hookshot by Miss Kennedy Ryan. And you guys know, got my notes here. This is book number 3 in the Hoop series, and it's a total of 3. So this was the last book in the series. It is a contemporary sports romance, and this one came out March 2019, and it's over 400 pages. So this one here, like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. And honestly, at this point, I really don't think Miss Kennedy Ryan can miss as far as I'm concerned. And I know sometimes, we may favor a certain author and we say stuff like that, or we give them maybe higher ratings because they are, one of our favorite authors. But truly and honestly, I really do believe her books, or at least the ones that I've read thus far, are 5 out of 5 stars. And it's not just because she's one of my favorite authors, it's because she is an excellent writer. I mean, just absolutely wonderful. She has mastered the art of writing. And something else that she does, and I need to stick to my notes because I feel like I'm about to go off the cuff here, and I'm start just going down a rabbit hole. But I feel like one of the things that she does, and I mean, I think she's like has perfected it. If there is a certain topic or sensitive topic or a certain issue or whatever, it's like she has done the research. She has done the research. I feel like she knows exactly what she's talking about. And I mean, she just does that well. And to me, not all authors do that well. I've read some stuff in the book and I'm like, where did they get that from? Did we gather that from the internet? Like, where did that come from? I never feel that way with Miss Kennedy Ryan books. I feel like she has done the work, she has done the research, and when she brings it to us, it's authentic, it's dead on, and she just has a way of bringing me in. And then, with her characters, I just really love them. But anyway, let me get back to Hookshot here. So let me go to my notes. Um, let's see where I'm at. Okay, so like I said, this is book number 3 in the Hoop series, and I have to say that this is my favorite out of the 3. I really, really love how open and honest the male main character Keenan was, because like he didn't do miscommunication. If it was something that he desired, something he wanted, he said that. It was no question, and that I can definitely appreciate. And just overall, I would definitely recommend this series here. They are definitely, the 3 books are definitely standalone. So I do not believe that you need to read them in any particular order. It's just whichever one that you want. But I would definitely suggest reading all of them because it is a wonderful, wonderful series. Okay, the next one I have, the next 5 out of 5 is God Ain't Through Yet. And this is part of the God Don't Like Ugly series. And this is book number 5 by Miss Mary Monroe. This is a contemporary African American drama novel. It came out May 2010 and it's over 400 pages. So, okay, this book here this series here is one, honestly, that I just don't want to end. It's a total of 6 books. And like I said, this one is number 5, so I only have one left. I have drawn this thing out for quite some time because I just don't want it to end. I feel like I know the characters. Like I feel like I know them. And I ain't gonna lie, I love all the little messy drama that they bring. And it's so crazy like with books. Like in real life, I don't want to deal with no drama. I don't want to deal with no messiness. But in books, I eat it up. Like I absolutely love it. And each one of her books, as far as that's in the series, each one of them brings that. You're going to get that in every single book. I mean, to be honest, the book is so well written that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if I did some research and Miss Monroe says, "Oh yeah, each of those characters, I actually know them. They're based off a real person." I would totally believe her. But anyway, let me stay focused. Her writing style is easy to read and is consistent. Now, that is a big thing. Sometimes when you're reading um, a long series, and when I say long, I mean like maybe it has 4 or more books in it. Sometimes, and I guess it doesn't even have to be 4 books. It could be, maybe just 3 in there. It could be a trilogy. But the point is that sometimes, like, you can really enjoy that first book, and then after a while, things start to kind of go downhill a little bit. That is not the case in this particular series, not to me. Miss Monroe is very consistent, and I love that because you just don't want something to lose its oomph, especially if you're a person like me who um, like finishing series. Now, I don't always finish it. It's some of them, the first book, I just thought, oh my gosh, I really just didn't like that book, so I'm not moving on to the next. But in the cases where it's like, oh, I really enjoy this and there's 3 or 4 left, I do like to finish it. But if it's something that's just absolutely inconsistent or, not that great, then I'm not going to force myself to do so. But in this case, you won't have to worry about that at all. Now, I also enjoy that we really grow right along with the characters. And for example, Annette is one of the main characters, and we're introduced to her as a child. And now she's like in her either her late 30s or early 40s. I can't exactly remember. And the same is true for Pee Wee and Rhoda. So it's like we've known them forever and we've seen everything that has happened in their lives. And when I say there are a lot of things that has happened, there are a lot of things that has happened. Now, this is the first series or books that I have read by Miss Monroe, but you can rest assured that I am going to go through her back catalog, and I hope she has plenty of books for me to read because, like I said, I just really enjoy her writing. And if you have never read anything by her, I'm telling you, if you like a little bit of drama, realism, you know, this is the series that you should pick up. You really should. Um, and oh, This series is a wonderful example of excellent execution of both character and plot driven story. I cannot say that enough because to me, a lot of times you have to kind of I don't want to say you have to pick and choose, but sometimes to me it seems like if the book is plot heavy, then the character driven, it's kind of lacking, or vice versa. To me, this series is a great example of excellent execution of both character driven and plot driven. It's a well balanced mixture of the two. So again, I highly, highly recommend this series. Um, I am not happy about, I only have one more book to go because I really do enjoy reading about these characters and the plot and just, the messiness of their lives. But I guess all good things do have to come to an end. But that was my second 5 out of 5 star read for this month. Okay, next one I have. All right, this is Best Offer Wins by Marisa Kashino. This is a contemporary suspense novel. It was published November 2025, and this is a really short read. This is only 288 pages. Now, I actually did a reading vlog about this book, so I will link that video below. But with this one, I I would recommend. I gave this a very high rating. I enjoyed this book, and I feel like anybody who likes suspense novels will probably enjoy this. Now, with that being said, it wasn't so super suspenseful that like I was sitting on the edge of my seat the entire time. However, though, it was just enough things happening to make me ask, like, okay, what's going to happen next? You know. And with this one, guys, I knew going in that the main female character, which is what is her name, Margot, was unhinged. So I was looking forward to seeing, like, how unwell is this lady? How far will she go? And just to give you a quick synopsis of this book right here, this is you have Margot and Ian, who is a married couple, and they have put in like 11 bids for houses out in Washington, D.C., and they have lost each bid. And the crazy part about it is that they have even offered like something like $250,000 over the asking price, and they still lost it. And that's not a spoiler or anything. That's, in the first chapter. So, I can understand how frustrating that could be. So, anyway, like I said, this is a really good read. Please, please check this out. And one of the things I found myself doing throughout this book is I found myself judging and questioning everybody in this book. This is definitely a plot driven book, and I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I don't feel that this is a book that you need to go into blind. I don't need to go in blind to most books. I kind of like to know what it is that I'm getting ready to check out. But if you are a person that feels like you want to know bare minimum as to what's happening in the book, then I would say you might just read the synopsis on the back of the book and then don't do any other research as to what's in this book. Just go with that and let that be it. Or if you're a person that like to go in blind, obviously don't read the synopsis on the back of the book. But it's very hard to talk about this book without giving details. So with that said, I'm not going to say much else. The only other thing I would say is that I had no idea how this book was going to end. And I would just say that I was very surprised. Like the book, good book, definitely recommend. Okay, the next book is The Girls in the Stilt House. This is by Kelly Mustaine. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name. This is a historical coming of age Southern fiction novel. It took place in Mississippi, and it was published April 2021. Now, with this book, overall, I thought it was a good book and I did enjoy it. However, there wasn't anything major that took place that I wasn't ready for, with the exception of two things. And even though those two things were important and surprising, overall, it just still didn't make the book just like, oh my gosh, just makes this book just absolutely unforgettable. Like I've been thinking about this book for days. Like, no, it was surprising. I didn't see it coming, but the book is still just, it's a good book. Um, I think this is one of those books that would make an excellent, excellent book club book, because there are so many things that you can talk about with this book. Like you can have a discussion about this book for hours and probably still could just, continue to go on and go on. Um, I have to say that, even though I didn't give this book like a 5 out of 5 stars or anything like that, I definitely look forward to reading more about this author. I enjoyed her writing style, and the book felt so authentic and true to me. Now, I have never done like research of the 1920s era in Mississippi or anything like that, but just still in reading it, the book just felt really authentic to me. It just felt like, yeah, this, I know this is probably exactly how this would have happened during that era. Now, something that I have to say, as a Black woman, there are many stereotypes about us. And one of them is, you know, some people consider that we're strong, we're independent, we take care of business, which is true, and those are good things to believe about us, and I believe it's true. It's true for myself, and it's true for most of the Black women that I know. But this is also a double-edged sword, because sometimes there is so much weight that is placed on us by others, and sometimes that can become overwhelming, and in some cases, certain things are expected out of us, and anything less than that elicits negative response. And I felt that the author really was able to capture that in this book. That is what stood out the most to me. I'm like, she is dead on in how she captured that. So again, I think this would make an excellent book club read. There are so many things to talk about in this book, and I would most definitely recommend it. All right. Next book, Black Candle Women by Diane Marie Brown. This is a contemporary adult fictional novel that deals with a bit of paranormal activities, magical realism, and witches. Now, this was published February 2023, 336 pages. So, with this book here, you have what is 4 or 5? Four generation of women with a secret. So overall, I thought this book was good, but pretty just basic. It wasn't anything special or unique about this book. I mean, I thought it was okay. It was okay. It was good. Just not anything that was, going to knock my socks off. And, I didn't go through this emotional roller coaster with this book. But at the same time, with it being just okay, and I hate to say okay because okay make it sound like it wasn't good. It was good. It just, it was good. But surprisingly, it wasn't boring. Because sometimes when a book is good or just okay, it's a little bit boring. I didn't think the book was boring at all. I just thought it was, how people like to say, mid. That's really the best way I can describe it. Now, there are two things that I really enjoyed about this book. The first is I love the complex family dynamics that was shown through the four generation of women in this book. The second thing that I really enjoyed was how the author showed the harm that can take place when dealing with family secrets. Now, there are too many cases where family secrets have caused more harm than good, in my opinion. And personally, I know someone who passed away and they never revealed to their child who the father was. And now this person is 60 something years old and they are still struggling with not knowing who their biological father was. And, there could be many different reasons as to why she never told her child who their biological father was. Some people say it was, maybe she didn't know, or maybe it was the brother of the boyfriend that she had at the time, or it could have been a family member. I mean, there's a whole bunch of rumors as to, why she didn't tell the person who their biological father was. But the point is, keeping family secrets to me just seem like it can cause more harm than good. You guys let me know. What do you think about that? Do you think family secrets should be, just that, family secrets, and it should be hush hush? Or do you think, nah, we need to kind of get rid of that and people just need to, you know, let it out, let the secret out? And then, and it, and I know that may not be an easy answer because then it's like, well, something may be my secret. It may be for me to know and not for you to know. But in like this case where it's this person doesn't know who their father is, then it's no longer just your secret or something that just affects you. It affects someone else as well. So anyway, I think this book really did a good job in, making you think about that. But again, regardless of the whys, secrets seem to produce more questions than answer, in my opinion. Now, lastly, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this book to anyone because, like I said, the book, it was good, but it was just, you know, okay. But if this is on your TBR list, I definitely say read it. Now, the writing was nice and easy to read, and I do look forward to reading more of this author's books. It's just this particular book just wasn't my jam. All right, as we're getting there, we have one, two, three more books left to talk about. Okay, the next one. All right, this is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is considered a classic literary fiction that deals with feminism and mental health issues. This was published January of 1963, and this is a short read. This is 288 pages. Now, this book right here, basically, we follow Esther Greenwood as she is slowly, going under. She's basically having a mental breakdown, and we're kind of going along with the ride. Now, overall, I did not give this book a high rating at all. I did not. Now, I know that there are so many people that would disagree with me about the way I rated this book and my opinion of this book, especially since it's considered a classic. Now, the obvious thing that stands out in this book is the language that the author uses towards certain groups of people. Now, I know that a lot of people who dislike this book, that is one of the reasons that they dislike it. Now, that did bother me, but not as much as one would think. And the only reason is because of the time period. Now, that is not an excuse for the author because not everyone has that certain mindset. But, I know that some people today and to the end of time is still going to have that same mindset that that author has. And let me say this. I'm saying that that author has. I don't know if that was really how she felt or the way she just felt that she should write that character. I don't know. But the point is that attitude towards certain groups of people, it has been true in the past, it's true today, and I feel it will be true tomorrow. And when I am reviewing certain literature, I try to review books with a different cap. I hope you know what I mean when I say that, especially when I'm judging a book that was written in 1960s or 1897 versus 2026, you know. Secondly, now I actually love the fact that she was not getting ready to play a certain role as a female. She was going to live her life the way she wanted to, and I could appreciate that. Um, so then why did I give this book a low rating? Well, it's because the author wrote the book. The way the author wrote this book, I felt like I was having a mental breakdown right along with the character. Now, I think that actually makes Sylvia, the author, an excellent writer, but it was too much for me. I didn't know if I was coming or going with this book, and I can deal with mental health issues in a book. I can deal with that. But when the characters are spiraling out of control, it confuses me, and I don't like to take that ride with them. So I think it's a difference of if something is written maybe first person, second person, or third person when it comes to mental health issues, that is going to determine how well I like the book. So the more I read, the more I grow and learn about myself. And I'm learning that books that deal with mental health issues in this manner is not an enjoyable read for me because I don't like the way it makes me feel. But again, the writer herself, based upon the way she wrote this book, seemed like an excellent writer. Now, I don't know how many books that she wrote before her passing. Um, so if she has more than one book that she's written, then I would be interested in reading something else of hers. But like I said, this particular book, it was just it was just not for me. Okay, the next, A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This is a mystery suspense thriller. It came out January 2022 and it is over 300 pages. So overall, I thought this was a really good book. It was a plot-driven book and I really did enjoy this. Now, honestly, I didn't really care for the characters, and the FMC Chloe, she worked my nerves just a little bit. And she did this because I, as a reader, could see what I felt was obvious, and she just kept missing it. And that was getting on my nerves. But again, I do know it's easier to judge when you're on the outside looking in. Now, I was also able to guess part of the twist, and I was okay with that because at this point, when you read as many books, as I have, or, you know, um, it's almost impossible to not be able to either guess the twist or part of the twist. So I don't, that's not an issue for me in a book. Now, I could also appreciate that even though Chloe was a professional, the author showed us her flawed human side. And I know it's easy to place certain people on a pedestal based upon their profession. And when they make a mistake, we find out certain things about them, then, sometimes we go for the jugular on that person. And as a psychologist, again, people are coming to them with their problems and, their issues. And I always said to myself, like, my goodness gracious, how do these people handle dealing with these people and all their issues and problems? But they have their way of dealing with it, and sometimes it might be like, that ain't the best way to cope with it. Maybe the therapist needs a therapist. But that's just part of being a human, and I was glad that the author brought that into the book. Lastly, I would just say that I would definitely recommend this book. It was a really good read. All right, guys, down to the last book here. So the last book I read for June is Out of Range, which is book number 5 in the Joe Pickett series. This was written by C.J. Box. It is a Western mystery suspense thriller. This was published May 2005 and is a little over 300 pages. Now, overall, like I said, I definitely enjoyed this series here. This is book number 5, and I always forget the number, but I want to say it's like a total of 20 or 27, 20 something books. And yes, I do plan to read every book that's in this series. It is truly a standalone, and each story is very entertaining and suspenseful. So, right now, and like I said, this is book number 5. I believe that you can read these books out of order because each book has its own conclusion to whatever events are taking place. However, I think that if you read it in order, it will be good because some of the characters are reoccurring characters, like Joe and his wife and his kids. And I think that you just get to learn more about them. And I always think that's nice, So starting from one, you can kind of see where they grow, how they are, kind of, what kind of to kind of can't get that out. Sometimes I mean, oh my goodness. Let me get this out, guys. You know kind of what to expect because you've been growing right along with the characters. You've seen them. So there's certain response that Joe is going to give to someone. And I'm thinking, I already knew that was coming before he said it because at this point, it's like, okay, I'm getting to know Joe. I've been with him since the last few books. So really, really good book. And let's see. Oh, with this book, Joe, his wife, and his children are dealing with some real life issues, which always makes a book more relatable to me. And this book specifically deals with some sensitive topics. So you might want to check your triggers before reading this particular book. But overall, again, it's a great series. I look forward to finishing this series and I would definitely recommend it. So, guys, that is all 8 books that I read for June. Hopefully, one of those books sounds interesting to you. If you have ever read any of those books, let me know. Please put it in the comments below. And as always, hopefully you guys have stuck around to the end of the video. If you have, thank you so very much. It is greatly appreciated. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe. And I cannot wait to talk with you guys later. Bye.